So, Paul Connect asked me to talk about the St. Francis Dental Mission, so thank you for inviting me. Dr. Surya stole my excitement, and as of this morning, I believe, website as a, oops, it's not going to come up. It was earlier, fail. Anyway, let me just pull that back up. Sorry about that. Dr. Meyer reached out within 24 hours, it was already up. Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on here, sorry.
The one that got put in, I see it in Jada stuff, back in Jada, it's listed as one of the, yeah.
There we go.
It's either in the news.
I'm not going to try that again because it errored out, but the St. Francis Reservation is a sovereign nation, so it qualifies as a international destination. So if you want to go to a different country and volunteer, you can actually go to the Rosebud Indian Reservation, even though it's within our country, and our military and government help support the tribal members. It still is actually international, technically. So, as far as why, I think it's important to give back and do philanthropy like this. This quote kind of struck me. It says, "To be successful and fulfilled, you must feel successful and fulfilled." And for me, when I go down to do philanthropy, whether it's in Guatemala, being a Title 19 provider, donated dental, working on the homeless, or down at the Rosebud Reservation, it helps me to feel fulfilled. And so I think most of us have an idea of what success is for us. And what's successful for me, what my definition is probably totally different than what yours is. So for me, it might be doing good in a half marathon that I run, or having a good outcome on a case, having a great meeting with my team, being at home with my kids, anything like that. But success without fulfillment isn't what we're after. So I think that if you're successful, there's lots of billionaires that are super unhappy, right? Because they're missing that fulfillment part. And so I had to go and look up fulfillment. So it's a noun, and it's the realization of something desired, promised, or predicted. So there's something promised that if I build a dental practice and all these patients come and I do awesome dental work, then I'm going to be happy. And it's like, how come I'm not happy? There's something missing, right? And so as I was thinking about this, so here's a guy. Now, by the way, if you love Robin Williams, raise your hand. Anybody? Okay. Over half the room. Okay. So here's a guy that in the 1970s moved out to California and said, I'm going to become a famous stand-up comedian. And he did. And he revolutionized stand-up comedy and started a kind of renaissance in San Francisco. And then he said, I'm going to be on TV. I'm going to get a TV show. It's like, yeah, right. Well, he did. Well, then he said, I want to have the #1 TV show in the nation. And even though I'm young, I grew up watching Mork and Mindy on Nick at Night. So I remember that. Well, then he wanted to get into movies. And his first movie, I believe, was in 1980. He was in Popeye. You've ever seen that movie? And then he said, I want to win an Academy Award without being funny, which he did. And then he said, I want to have more money than I could ever spend. And he accomplished that. But he never found fulfillment. It was always about the achievement. And so I noticed a pattern in myself. I moved to Rapid City almost 15 years ago, and I took over a dental practice here in town. And I saw a pattern where if I did a crown prep in 1 week, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, if I prepped 1 crown that week, it made my week. I was so excited because I was so early on my learning curve and I just didn't have that many patients and my confidence level wasn't high. So maybe people weren't saying yes to my treatment because it looked like I was in high school still. But then I built trust and people started saying yes more. So then if I had maybe a crown almost every day, I still don't have a crown every day, but if I started getting more case acceptance on more exciting cases, then I felt fulfillment. Well, then I took more CE and I learned more time went by. Well then, it's like, if I did an arch in a month, yes, I must be doing something right, putting my knowledge to use. Well, as I grew, the expectations grew, and I just kept grasping for more and more and more. And so I go through this roller coaster of being fulfilled, not being fulfilled. And so I realized I was looking in the wrong place. Now, all those things are important. You have to be able to do cases to pay your team, right? And keep your business open. But I had left something out, and that was philanthropy. And so if I could be fulfilled, if I could kind of fill in that missing piece that was missing, what would that mean? What would that mean for my team? Okay? What kind of energy would I be able to bring if I was in a great state every day? If I wasn't worried about the little piddly stuff that was happening because I just felt that my character and integrity were known to my team. It would make a huge difference. What would it mean to my family? So I've got a 13-year-old, there she is with her confirmation sponsor from last week. My daughter also celebrated her first birthday last week, and we adopted a cat from the Humane Society. So it was a busy week. So if I'm better at home, if I'm in a better state for my family of 8 and our cat and our 2 dogs, then life's better. It's not just me, it ripples out, right? And so 2 weeks ago, and many of them are in this room, myself, Dr. Thorson, Chelsea, Betsy, Laura Lee, and Kayla, and I went down to the Rosebud Reservation with Dr. Scott Van Dam, oral surgeon, and 2 of his team members. And we had, according to Marty Jones, the hygienist that runs the clinic, the most productive Saturday since they opened a number of years ago. So we were busy. We did a ton of work on the tribal members. And this clinic, it's their dental clinic in their town. That's where they go. They don't come to Rapid City. Hardly. Many of the tribal members don't come to Rapid. So it isn't like if you live West River, you probably have a lot of Native American patients, or some. The Native Americans that we see there are different. They live down there, and their culture's a little bit different, and their expectations are totally different. And they're very gracious and appreciative. Now, when you meet somebody, or they're very happy, so I shake my hand, it's like, thank you, I'm so glad to meet you, right? So that's not the way that you're gonna have personal interaction. And some of it's just the difference between Lakota and white people. They don't all always look you in the eye, and it's not because they don't like you or something. It's just, but it's weird because like we look each other in the eye. It's super important. It's like not showing somebody the bottom of your shoe, like what Dr. Serio would say. So and then you feel like maybe they don't appreciate you, but it's just a difference in body language. So there's Dr. Thorson working, and we took a picture afterwards outside the clinic, but this is some of the really neat impact that you can make. You look at the cleft lip and cleft palate. Now, any patient from Rosebud is going to get that taken care of, right? IHS will see them. They'll probably send them off to Denver Children's, and they'll be fixed. But here's a kid. He's 11 years old, okay? And he's got only 2 permanent teeth in his lower jaw. He's got his first molars. All the rest of his teeth are baby teeth. I pulled this tooth because it was abscessed. This one's about to fall out. He's missing his upper premolars and his upper second and third molars. And those laterals, they don't look like laterals. They're like Franken teeth in his mouth. They're kind of misshapen. What are you going to do? Who's going to pay for that? Is he going to get this treated at IHS? No. think his parents couldn't pay for implants? You kidding? No. They can't even pay for gas money to get him to wrap it. So, well, is medical going to pay for that? Have you guys ever gotten medical insurance to pay for anything, ever? I haven't. No. So he's just screwed, right? All his bottom teeth are going to fall out and he'll get a denture? No, he's not. We're going to take care of him. So, you can't do this with every patient, make him a Rapid City patient in your clinic for free. But we have these little touches with, especially these kids, and I'm going to restore him at no charge to him. Dr. Van Dam is going to do his implants in 10 years. And he just got approved for the Smiles for Life program at Meyer Dana Orthodontics. So thank you, Dr. Richmeyer and Dr. Chapmeyer. Yeah, what a gift to that kid, and only because we were able to go down there. And so if you ever happen to go down there for a few days, you might find, and you might not, but you might find like one person that you're really connected with, and you might say, I want you to come to my clinic, and I'm going to help you. I'm going to give you the highest level of treatment and provide all the skills that I can on you. And I think that's going to be really, really rewarding. So here's the most impactful moment of my trip. I found this really awesome brochure. It really opened my eyes to possibilities. So this is where you're supposed to laugh. That's a joke. Drugs are a problem down on the reservation. There's a lot of alcoholism, and marijuana is not really a huge issue down there. It's too expensive, and but they do have methamphetamines, and so that's been a real problem. Not only for the oral health, but it just kind of devastates what little hope there was. It's kind of wiped that out. And so there's not a lot of positive things happening on the Rosebud Indian Reservation, except for the St. Francis Dental Mission. It's a bright, shining star. And it's one little spot of huge amount of hope, has an immaculate reputation. And so I think we can build on that. And I think that's something that's exciting. So this is another example of just thinking outside the box, like Dr. Syria was talking. Okay, so you can't do crowns, because even if you could do crowns, we took a CEREC machine down there once. This is your point, okay, demonstrated. We screwed up. I got the idea. We're going to do crowns. It's going to be awesome. So let's get a CEREC machine. We'll do the first crown ever done on the Rosebud Indian Reservation, which we did, and I posted it on Facebook. I was so proud. Okay? Well, what kind of material is it? It needs to be bonded. When it falls off, which one of them did, who knows how to put it back on? Are you supposed to etch it or not? How long? They don't know what CeraSmart is. It's hybrid, resin, composite, blend material. And so, keep it simple. I tried to get too fancy. So here's a case. This lady has worn through all the enamel off the backs of her teeth. You can see the dent. Yeah, there's some caries there. You can see how thin her teeth are, right? Well, that's not decay, that's wear. I mean, Delta Dental doesn't even cover wear. Nope, can't treat it, insurance doesn't cover it, right? Okay, we'll just leave it. She's 24. Where are her teeth going to be in only 10, 20, 30 years? They're going to be gone. She's going to be in a denture. Well, if you try to build the backs of the teeth up, then she won't hit on the back teeth, right? She's going to have an open bite. And so my team and I looked at her, talked about her, and we said, we can fix her predictably in 2 hours down here with only composite resin. So what we're going to do is we're just going to air braid and etch the linguals, remove the decay, build the linguals up, make them look like teeth, and then abrade the occlusal surfaces of her top teeth, etch them, put blobs of composite on there, and have her bite into her new centric stop. And then it'll kind of smash some occlusion in there, take some bonding agent and smooth it back, cure it. She's got a new vertical dimension. What if one of them falls off? Put it back on. 1, 2, easy. That'll give for another 30 years. And so that's exciting to me. So she's appointed with me next time I'm going back down there. So I know when I'm going back, and I have a reason to go back, because I'm going to see her. I'm going to fix her.
touch coverage. Did you put her in a guard when she was done to try to prevent any of your work from being protected?
I haven't done it yet.
You haven't done it yet?
Huh.
Can you make her?
I just saw her 2 weeks ago.
Alright. Are you gonna make a in-house guard real quick just to protect her teeth so she don't have so much damage? I mean,
Probably not.
okay.
We don't have a way to do it, but no. Write that down, ladies. Let's make her a night
You
guard.
can do
Good
it.
idea.
You can make her a night guard in clinic and you should be able to do it in an hour.
Yeah. I mean, I have a mini spread in my office. That's a great idea. Here's just some more pictures. Dr. Van Dam's taking some teeth out. He has the best line ever. There's a video from 2 years ago, the last time we went. Michael Lynn professionally produced it. He's pulling a tooth and he says, "You only have to do this once and you never have to do it again." I love that. It's like classic. So here's a gal that I saw, not a tribal member. And so it isn't just Native Americans that come to the clinic. This lady has Delta Dental. So by you going there and treating the people, they're getting paid. So you're making the clinic money. So it isn't just the good works that you're doing, you're also helping to support the clinic. So that's kind of cool. So there's 4 different types of experiences. Okay? There's a class 1 experience. That's the highest level of experience that you can have. So it feels, It feels good when you do it. It's good for you. It's good for the people around. It doesn't feel good while you're doing it, but it's good for you. It's good for the community and the people around you, and it's good for the whole world. Class 3, it feels good to do it, but it's bad for everybody else. It'd be like, what'd you say, Dr. Serio? Like drinking like a 6-pack of beer before you go to bed? Don't do it, right? It's a bad idea. Class 4, it feels bad, and it's bad for me, and it's bad for everyone else. So if you can get more of your life to be class 1 experiences, that's going to lead to fulfillment. And for me, spending a day with my team at St. Francis Mission is a class 1 experience. Feels awesome, it's fun, it's super rewarding, it's great for the people that we're doing it on, it's great for the community, it's good for the whole world. Why? Why is it a class 1 experience? Well, I'm not as humble as Dr. Serio, okay? So for me, one of my drivers in my life is significance. So I want to feel like my life matters. Not that I'm the most important person in the room, but I mean, look at my sport coat. I mean, it's got these blue stripes on it, it's kind of loud, right? So I get a feeling of significance when I walk in that clinic and I know Dr. Thorson and I and Dr. Van Dam weren't here, this clinic would not be open. None of these patients would be here. And I looked out in the waiting room. I mean, it was like they were sandwiched them in like literally sardines, okay? So I thought, oh my gosh, I'm gonna make a huge impact today. So it was a good feeling. I get a loving connection with the patients and with my team. There's something about working in a nonprofit setting that amplifies the good feeling that you get. You know, if you finish a great aesthetic case and everyone like cries and hugs in the off, it's great. And then you get your like $10,000 and that's great, that's okay. We have to do that. But with this, when there's no exchange of funds whatsoever and it's truly a gift, it amplifies this feeling. So I feel that, you know, when your character and integrity are displayed and demonstrated through your works, that gives, well, at least for me, it gives me the confidence that I'm living my life in the right way. So if I ever question how I'm living, if I'm doing the right things, I can look back to things like volunteerism, and it gives me reassurance that, you know, I'm not as maybe selfish as I was telling myself, or as bad of a person in that moment. You know, if you're having like a little breakdown during the day, maybe you guys never do that, maybe it's just me. But I like the variety that it gives me, like Dr. Serio said. You're just in your own practice all the time, it gets kind of boring. There's some other benefits there too. So I used the misery of the tribal members. I got to hang out with my team. I took it back to their office, and we had a good talk about it at our meeting. I told you that the people were very gracious, but one thing that Dr. Serio said that I wrote down, indirect influence. So he talked about people maybe thinking about the US like, oh yeah, it's a bunch of rich people, they bomb countries, they exploit workers, or whatever their narrative is, right? Which we know is not true. But are there some narratives maybe down in the reservation about the people that live here? Yeah, there are. Just like we have narratives about the people that live down there, right? And so by building a bridge between me, who's a white guy, and them, the Lakota people, I'm able to indirectly influence the perception. So I'm helping to heal, if there's racial tension or whatever they call it now on the news, I'm helping to heal that. Not through talking about it or planning something, by actually doing it. So I thought that was a pretty neat thing. Does anyone know who this is? Oksana, you know who this is.
St. George?
He's the patron saint of your town.
Yes, he is.
So I'll spare you the story, but one of the oldest stories in humankind, it's called an archetype. So it's like a example or a story that's passed down over many, many years. So it's the story of good versus evil or darkness versus light. And so St. George is killing the dragon, which can represent the devil or it can represent your fears. And so I was in a CE course one time, and it was a small course. So Dr. Frank Spear, if you've heard of Dr. Spear, raise your hand. Quite a few of you have. Most of them are from my office. But he came out, and everyone was kind of talking amongst themselves, and he was just looking at the audience, not saying anything. And everyone got kind of quiet, and he just kind of started pointing. I was like, what's he going to say? And he said, this is what you do. You go into a hygiene exam, and you sit down, and you check the patient, and you see maybe a big silver filling, huge, and all the enamel around it's cracking and breaking. And you think to yourself, this tooth needs to be crowned, but you don't tell the patient because you're worried. You're worried that they won't believe you, or that they're going to think that you're over-treating the case, or that maybe you just did a crown on them last time they were in. So you're like, oh, I can't tell them about this problem because I just did one, right? And so the fear is basically my integrity might be attacked if my patient doesn't believe what I'm saying. That's my dragon, okay? And so when I give back in a big way, like I'm going to give a whole day. Now, being a Medicaid provider and doing donated dental, that's awesome. But when you do like a 2-day trip down there, and that's the thing, you got to do a 2-week trip to the Dominican. You can do a 2-day, you can do a 1-day trip. Our last trip was 1 day. It's like, okay, now I'm confident when I came back home because I know what my character is. I know that I have integrity. And it's one step closer for me to get total confidence with my patients and be able to communicate fearlessly. Here's what I see. Here's what I think you should do. And my team backs me up. I already mentioned this. I'm almost done here. You guys can go eat. But how do I give back? What are some ways? I think Title 19 Medicaid, being a provider, I think that's charity. I mean, yeah, I get money for it. I have to limit it, but I wish all dentists in South Dakota were providers. But a lot of dentists give back in other ways. Donated dental service is awesome. We have a Cornerstone Rescue Mission homeless shelter here in Rapid City. It's the only homeless shelter in a massive radius, I think like 5 hours. And so we do that. I go to Guatemala and do the Open Wide Clinic and Give Kids a Smile, St. Francis Mission, and I'm sure a lot of you do. I do priests or consecrated virgins, nuns. Don't charge them. Now, if they're doing their whole mouth, that's different. But as far as just garden variety stuff, there's lots of ways that you can get that. So Here's me chugging a beer in front of a volcano. So I thought that was entertaining. Dr. Narian, you're not so sure. I can see that.
You didn't clarify whether it was Ruby or not.
No. So here's what happened. So you walk up this mountainous pass, okay? And you get up to this volcano in the middle of nowhere, and there's a guy sitting up there with a cooler. Like, that's his job, is to walk up there with the cooler and sit and hope that you buy something. So, I mean, I didn't really want a beer. I was just trying to support the local economy, I promise. Who remembers when the volcano blew up in Guatemala? Killed a whole bunch of kids and people. This is like a year ago. You remember that? It's all over the news. There's me, right there. 2 months earlier. Was that smart? I'm standing on the lava bed from when it blew up the last time, 14 years ago. Luckily it didn't blow up that day. You can see it smoking. So there's my daughter with little dude that we were hanging out with, and Sergio. He didn't really speak Spanish. He spoke this Mayan language that was different. But he said something about corazon, which was hard. Anyway, it was awesome. I don't think Dr. Sergio is going to like this video because it might violate one of his. See if I can get it to play. So I took my 12-year-old daughter with me. She pulled a tooth. And I pre-loosened it. She was out giving oral hygiene instruction. My buddy Omar is assisting her. He's a dentist in Vancouver. There you go, baby. So we were having dinner last night with my wife's parents, and Grandpa Noel asked Elena, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And she said, "I'm going to be an oral surgeon." He said, "An oral surgeon?" She said, "Yeah, that's what I'm going to be." Wow. Now, was it strictly from that experience? I don't know. And I got on my phone and looked at Guatemala laws, because she might have violated the Dental Practice Act. This would never happen in one of Dr. Sergio's clinics. I would be taken out on a rail. So, in closing, I knew in my heart that getting more involved with philanthropy was the right thing to do. And since I've started, God has rewarded me disproportionately to what I put in. I promise you, if you give more, you'll never regret it. And if you give more, you'll appreciate what you have more than you can imagine. If you want to try going down to St. Francis and seeing what it's all about, giving a day, here's Marty Jones's contact information. Or, I mean, it's so easy to find it. You know, you guys have phones, you can look it up. But there's Marty's information, and I highly recommend it. Thank you.